Good morning. We are here today to hear the compelling viewpoints of our eclectic ménage of sustainability experts. Brian and Kirsten, T and Jennifer and Neil on the end there. The format will be a round-table discussion, albeit without the requisite round table. I think I saw one up towards the pond. We will be discussing a variety of issues that deal with sustainability, particularly with regard to the Shambala Farm 2.0 project, codenamed Phoenix. Without further ado, let's get ready to rumble, as it were.
So all about camp life and our new reality show, Living in Shambala, the joy of paradise.
Yeah.
Well, so far, it's been amazing. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
It was sad that we had to, make a little change, a major change. But, of course, in the long run, we could all see that needed to happen.
Yeah.
It's Survivor. We
Very
had to
good.
vote somebody off.
Right, right. Somebody's got to get voted off the island. But I love the progress we've been making here, and I just see the potential every day. I'm so glad that we got so much of the garbage off the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're congregating is a really healthy thing. We should do that pretty regularly.
Yeah, this could be a weekly thing.
Right.
Like
or
a
bi-weekly.
weekly check-in.
As long as we don't get religious about it, we could do it on Sunday.
Well, that's why I was going to say thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who better be all your Lord and Saviors too.
No.
He's up there. He's in the top 10.
He's my banker.
He's up there.
Pieces of silver waiting for me.
I wouldn't say number one.
I'm a polytheist. But it's been great. It's been great. There was that one little snag, but overall, and since then, like, the energy has been so much lighter.
So much better.
And with the work that I did yesterday, widening the road, it just that combined with the Deborah thing just made everything seem so much nicer. And that Kip came by yesterday and brought us a soursop tree and a Suriname cherry tree and some basil and a tea plant, and so obviously he's got nothing but goodwill, and it's great to see a community pulling together and evolving, and I can't wait to see more.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah. And there's Jen.
That was her interview.
Wait,
piece.
that's it?
I
third
went
that
through
ditto.
the 2 months of waiting for that to happen, and now it's happening, and there is a breathing sigh of relief.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I'm still in that sense of shock. I didn't think I would be quite as shocked as I was when it finally ended, because we were just dealing with it. You get blunt, you're riding yourself through it. I've been angry for the last while because the situation here has been so unmoving. And you two have arrived, and I've seen movement and changes that I love the look of it. I said when I got here, I love this property. I love the potential it has. But we were not achieving that potential when we first got here.
Right.
Yep. We were just watching it sit and wait for that potential to start.
Sure.
Yep. So we built up in the greenhouse and sheltered inside out of the rain, stripped all the dirty guinea grass that was drying up and dying in here.
Yeah.
So it's all clear in here now, or the walls would still be covered like it looks outside, but dead and dry.
No, when we got here, it was all, snagged up there, and just
Yeah.
big, huge bunches of guinea grass all.
Yeah.
And I see what you're doing when I'm going to
Oh,
work and
yeah.
coming back. It's awesome.
It was so
Thank
nice to come
Yeah.
back yesterday. It didn't even look like the same place. It was so welcoming.
Right?
Because
The road's so
Yeah.
much wider now,
and the light,
I don't
the
drive
way
up
the light
the
was
road, but
hitting.
the clearing you do just makes it breathe.
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. As for me, I have never wanted to be here. I have never wanted to be here, even though I saw the beauty in it, and the beauty in Daryl and everything. And it was sad because I think now that you guys are here, I'm starting to, I think, feel relaxed enough to see the beauty in it. Like, I was blown away when I came back yesterday. And I'm never blown away. I'm usually like walking with dread.
Yeah.
and I know it's beautiful. Like when I come home, and the driver's like, "Oh my God, it's beautiful," and I see the beauty. So I want to thank you, all of you, all three of you, just to opening my eyes to be able to relax enough to see what the potential of is here and what's already here. Well,
Right.
right now in the moment,
Right.
because I wasn't in the moment. I was just always trying to get away.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for that.
That's harder here when you don't have transportation. We're not driving.
Yeah.
I ride my bicycle out, but she's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, and that'll work.
ready for that here on these roads.
Yeah, that'll
It's brutal
Everyone says I
having to
shouldn't be
bring
doing
water
that
here
highway.
for shower water.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
carry 2 gallons in my backpack from work every day from the Safeway Refresh Station and lug that and my food and stuff up here. I did it yesterday.
Just ask us when you
Yeah.
need water.
Well,
we'll
you're
grab
here
it.
You
now
should
and
have
we'll work
kids
that
so
out.
you
Thank
could tell them that
But you
story.
weren't here, and that's what I was doing. And we were
Yeah.
having to hide what little we could gain from the outside
Right.
because they kept taking it away, and every time they took it away, the mess from the other person that is now gone was spread from one end of the other because they would never clean it up and get rid of it from that spot. That didn't trigger them taking it away. They did it all across the properties. The county went everywhere and took out those spigots and said, no, sorry.
By the way, I saw those blue lines.
Yeah.
On just about all of the.
Yeah. So they're going to go check them all. They're trying to, like, from my opinion, cap everything out here so that there's no spare leakage. There's no potential for use.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm afraid of that.
That's unfortunate.
What little water we
water.
possibly had to use that I've been trying to use once in a while when nobody's here, the county put a blue line across that anchor top, and that means they're marking it for something.
What is the story with the water here?
It's in litigation. Basically, you have to apply and pay for a bunch of shit and take 6 weeks to get the water approved in here, and the county keeps dragging its feet because the property owner association and the county are at odds with each other, and they both ignore what they're supposed to do. We heard from one of the drivers that the master deed has already expired and they have not renewed it. So the county's just saying, fuck you. If you're not going to take care of your end of this shit, we're definitely not going to take care of ours. You're last on the list for anything you might ask for.
It's just amazing that here in the one of the wettest places on earth
They're stealing the water out
has
from the land.
so much water everywhere, and they're like, water is my precious.
Does anybody know how that, speaking of water,
Yeah.
so that catchment tank could have been filled with the last storm that we had? It would have
Yeah,
been filled.
yeah.
but there's no
So,
catchment.
Right.
how
so
do
we
we,
need to
do
figure that out.
I need to watch a video.
See, that thing, sadly, no.
YouTube will tell us.
And
Tell
it's
us,
not really
YouTube.
sadly, it's just that tank was set up for a gravity-fed inflow with pressure. It doesn't have an open top. So you'd have to build a tower above it.
There is a lid.
There is an actual lid?
Yeah.
Okay, then you'd need to put a ring on that and have several buckets all around it that you could lift and fill, or siphon hose up to that at some point. If there's a
Solar
lid. I
pump.
never saw the top.
Yeah.
Solar pump.
Yep.
There you go. During the morning.
Exactly.
Afternoon, that spot gets no light.
You gotta have
It's
like
perfect
some
for
lower
camping.
catchment area, and then
Yeah.
you can have a small solar pump.
Yeah.
You could
And
do
you-
one of those
Okay.
like.
I mean,
or
a tarp,
couple-
a new
Yeah,
tarp works
yeah.
pretty
couple of
good.
the IBS tanks. Those.
An IBC tank. I have a guy who's
IBC
willing
tank.
to give me one. He came into
Let's
my
get
work
it.
on Friday and said, if you want it. And Monday, I'll probably see him. He's also willing to sell me a car when I have the money. Got to get a license first. But
Because that we can
he has an IBC tank.
we can build some kind of catchment around, like some
A funnel rim. Yeah.
that dumps in there, and then a solar
Pump.
pump that
Yeah.
pumps it right into the green.
See, we can
tank.
get it for free. I was not about to spend any money to do anything like that.
Just
And the
find
pump-
out
the-
what
the
was
pump
in
can
it.
Go through a
Yeah.
filter
Just
too.
find out what
Pump
was
it
in
through a
the.
filter. and up
Yeah,
Before
they
we
were
got
using
the
it.
tank.
They were using it
Yeah.
for water.
Okay.
And they have
Okay.
to switch over to another system.
good.
So
Well, you have to
we would
clean it
need to
out.
either haul it out, or you
purifier
might bring it up
would
here
probably
for us.
be
I'd have to
worth it.
arrange that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can just get one of those. They have those filters that clip onto the lines.
Yeah, it has the bottom intact, so you can
It
open
does.
up the bottom spigot,
Okay.
the drain for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've used them before. We were using them to
Okay.
actually filter our fish waste water. We had 4 of them in a row.
Okay.
And I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said, I got one of those big plastic square things, and I'm like, with the metal cage on it, and the bottom, and he's like, yeah, I'm an IBC tank.
IBC tank.
All right. So,
We'll take
yeah,
it.
we've
What
got
does
one.
IBC
I just need to
stand
talk to
for?
him Monday or Tuesday when he comes in
I'm
next.
not sure.
He's one of the customers. They were originally hazardous material containers for like hydrochloric acid and things like
Incredibly
that.
bitchin' container.
Yeah.
Polypropylene, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the hazmat symbol on
Yeah.
the bottom next to
Don't
the drain
spit the
stuff. They can edit that out.
No, but it would be nice if we had like a beater farm truck.
Yeah,
You
it
know.
would.
That would be
Because then
nice.
we could have already, hauled the trash
Oh,
out
I was
and
thinking.
all
I
that.
was thinking a fleet of
Electric
hybrids
cars, yes.
or electrics for just for storage.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
feeling
that evens out. That settles your storage system. You charge up your cars, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, take one of the beater
Yeah.
Right.
Heater
Yeah.
electric cars.
One of my old dreams that I've had for years was like when I talked about new buildings and putting hydroelectric downflows in all the corner gutters of main buildings with the catchments like the coffee canisters for charcoal burners you can take out and clean. So why couldn't you have a tower shelf of 3 batteries and a large double catchment with 2 outflow pipes and long hoses with 2 or 3 hydroelectric turbines in there? I looked at pricing too. It was not that bad. Like $500. You could have an everyday rain charger for 12 volt and 6 volt batteries. And it rains a lot here, and I went, this is the place for it. You can even hook a tube, like they cheaply made those running turbines on the fish line for camping. Mine was basically a collared hose with one of those ceramic brick clamps that you could lay in the river and leave there. And it would just be the hose with the filter top you'd have to clean out every
Is
now
there
and
any
again.
flow in that?
There is. It's just never enough right here to gain good pressure. It's just a trickle stream. You'd have to go upstream to the spring, and even then you don't get enough of a downflow.
Yeah, you need a pretty
But
good
for rain,
drop.
if you're looking at what we're talking about, if you could have a solar panel and a hydroelectric flow in, you'd have every week a good amount of a battery charged.
Well, and a small little windmill.
Yeah. Up here, you don't get enough wind, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Not yet. I have not seen wind in here except
Probably
once through
during
the
winter,
Alvesias.
Yeah.
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 Sadly, there's not a good airflow here. This is a bowl.
But for those little ones, they have these like I lived over on Kaapuni, Uncle Peter and Ancha's farm, and on my trailer there was just a little windmill that even just a breeze would just keep it
Yeah.
keep it going a little bit, and it was just supplemental
Right.
for the solar.
But it worked.
But it did.
Yeah. The problem is in here, you really don't get much of a shift of wind except super early morning and in the mid-afternoon, and it's not that much. Once in a while, if it's rainy, you'll get a pushing wind through here and it'll funnel through the greenhouse, but if you're outside, it's barely going to turn it.
Up there we get a little bit more of a breeze.
You might want to try it up there, because down here, it's a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets really still with the heat and everything.
Right.
It causes a kind of heaviness during like the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could just be the time of year too. You know, we weren't here during winter.
Yeah. And it was a shock to go from like cold beach showers at 5:30 in the morning before going to work to a gallon of medium cold water, right? But not being able to get the water every time I needed it.
Right.
Yeah,
The
water's
lady
okay.
that's no longer here was originally part of her agreement was to make sure we had water and could get rides to work. The owner of the property had agreed with her that I would be able to get to work and from work because he was allowing me to have my job. The day he left, she complained about those rides and came to my work in front of my coworker, and I called her on it in work in front of my coworker. And when she left, my coworker goes, "What's the trip with that lady?"
Wait, who's allowing you to have your job?
The owner of this property.
Oh.
Okay.
Tell them the story. I want Brian to tell them the story of how we met Daryl as free, because it's a very good story.
You
Oh,
told
yeah.
me that story.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I
Can
can
you
I
tell
can
it?
break that out as a separate video, and I can get 2 weeks credit
Can
for
we
it.
tell it?
All right, well, then everybody move away. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can tell it. It was easy. I can tell that story days. Because we were sitting out in front of Safeway, waiting. It was early morning, maybe 11 o'clock. We're just sitting there going, hanging out, waiting, eating our breakfast. And a dude in a nice cowboy hat with silver buckles around it was just hanging around, kind of looking at me for a minute. He didn't approach us right away. She went in the store, went to get something, came back out of the store, and hadn't made it back to the table yet. And he sat down. And I looked at him, I said, "Good morning." And he goes, "You're Brian, right?" I was all, "Yeah." And he's all, "I'm free." So then she comes out. He goes back in the store and grabs a pineapple tray, wants to feed us and view us, or interview us, but video us at the same time. So he sits across like where you're at, and Kristen and I are right here around the little round tables, and he just starts talking to us about the property and telling us about the crack addicts and the fact that this place is going to be salvaged from like the misadventure of dumping. Yes.
But the thing is I knew Daryl as Daryl through our phone calls.
Right.
Several phone calls. And he said, "I'm not going to be able to make it to Kauai. I'm going to send my friend Free, who is an experienced farmer." So we went into it, because that's very important, thinking they were two totally different entities.
And I was going to get to his surprise
Okay,
announcement.
now go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as we're leading along, we meet this gentleman, and he's sitting at the table videoing us and saying, you're very photogenic, and he's videoing mostly me. I do talk a lot when people start asking me questions. I got a lot to say. Nobody wants to hear it, but I'm going to say it. So he's just like eating it up on video, and she's having her conversational piece back and forth, but I'm getting most of the video time. And he finally says, "Okay, well, I like you too. Let's go look at the property." Once we drive up here, and we're inside this, I mean, like dirty, filled, rotten, overgrown, pallets everywhere, covered in grass greenhouse. We're looking at it like, fuck. Okay, but I start thinking I can tear out these pallets, no problem. We can walk through here because we're walking through here. We get all the way to the back, and we start talking. Tripping on the pallets, not tripping.
Yeah.
I started tripping once the other lady got here. So I sleep with my axe in my hand. But we're sitting there in the back of the greenhouse area, talking about where we can set up and what he wants done. And you said something to him well, Daryl had said da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And I looked at her and I said, that's right, he did, but we expected to actually meet with him too. And he looks at her and he goes, well, I mean, I kind of have this way of doing things, and I like to surprise people, but I'm Daryl. And she went...
I did.
And dropped her jaw. And I just looked at him
like...
started
laughing and crying at the same time, because I had thought that... I had made such a connection with Daryl on the phone. I thought I knew his voice and everything, and I had no clue. And he goes, God, I wish I had my film on right now.
Yeah, and he looked at her and he said, she's surprised. And he looked at me and he went, you? And I went, I was waiting for you to actually say, no, just kidding.
Right. So,
and he wasn't.
No.
So we met the dual personality of Daryl Free, and then discovered after meeting you here that really is the nature of his dual sense of person. It's not a split Joe personality. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. You and I need to talk.
Well, you know, on Kauai, you do need two names. I don't know why. I've always laughed at people that come to Kauai and get their name.
Yeah.
You know, get some name like Summer Starbright or whatever.
Oh God.
But actually, half the people here know me as Neil, and half the people know me as Raj. So now it's like I'm introducing myself as Neil Raj, 'cause it's my first and middle name. But I used to go when I'd go stay in Kalalau for long periods of time. The rangers used to wait at the end of the trail. They're lazy, basically. So they'd say, "Oh, who'd you see back there? You know, any of my friends?" They'd say, "Oh yeah, Neil stoked us out." You know. Yeah. So I'd go for Neil back there for a week or two, and then I'd switch to Raj. A new group come in, and I'd be Raj.
You never met Neil.
Yeah, and it's still to this day. I've got friends. I say, "Hey, this is Neil." They go, "Who?" Raj.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because Raja is actually a title.
Yeah, Raj means king. My dad's from India. I was supposed to be king of I don't know what.
One day you might be here. So, in front of Neil this morning, I overjoyously was not saying I told you so, which
Your
was
body
funny. I thought it,
yeah.
I felt so vindicated and free that someone else noticed it without me having to say anything. Because every time I say it, she hides it and people never see it, and I'm the bad guy. And the minute she lets it out and everybody sees it, you can realize how bad it is and how long we've been dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. But now we're at the place where we can move past that, which I'm so
yes. I will.
Forward to.
It takes a minute. I understand. It takes a week or two.
Oh, it does.
It's a release of pressure.
So as a filmmaker, I'm concerned that was a major source of conflict is gone. I mean, what are we going to come up with? Getting water and power here?
Pretty much.
I guess that's going to be it.
Water and power.
Water and power.
Amazing.
Now, when Daryl gets here, what's going to be his? Does anybody know what his
he
priority
has
is?
structured ideas that he hasn't been able to finalize yet. He wants more tree cutting. He wants certain structures put up in certain places. He has designations for areas he wants cleared first.
And the
water put back on, power. That's going to happen his way here. But those are things we can't do. Those are things that are just going to happen.
Yeah. Well, what it would be nice was to align ourselves with his priorities, so when he gets here, it's ready to go instead of us doing some opposite thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was what we started doing.
I think once he gets here, it'll be so much easier because we'll know.
Right. Yeah. I'm just trying to clear as much as I can.
Yeah. And that's
he's going to be here in 10 days or so, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I
Whatever
think 10
the
days
date
from
is.
today. Getting the doors on. We should get the doors on.
He wanted a double door back there, but we had to figure out how to put a length of brace across that side in the back. But this one is just one easy post. We have 4x4s over there. One of them can be cut down, anchored right there with a couple of chuck braces so it can go up and down. And we got one door ready.
So you know how to do that?
Yeah, cool.
I've done it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. We just don't have power tools. We have a handsaw, so I just need to make sure my cut's straight and I measure it right.
Right.
Gotcha.
I brought a level so I could actually check. I don't have a square here. That's in storage. But I brought a level so I could test the upright of the beam. I don't know if this place is still perfectly square and level, but I want to match that door frame. So if someone holds the door in place with a shim on the bottom to keep it off its, flooring, then I can make sure that posting is even for where the door has to sit, even if we're doing it by eye.
Sure.
Yeah.
That little bird hanging out.
Hello. They used to have all their nesting in here, but we tore all that out.
The birds are so nice in the morning here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
I finally stuck around for sunrise.
Except that chicken couple. They came in here this morning clucking around. He's showing off to his lady. So I went zip on the side of the tent thing, and he went bang and ran into the walls and fluttered and ran
he
out of
does
here.
We have cats hanging out at our place that
Black
brawl
cat,
at
little
night.
white, yellow cat.
We've seen
Yeah,
the black
black
cat.
cat. Haven't
Okay.
seen anything
There's another
else.
like whitish yellow one that's out there too.
Okay.
Saw him once up there.
The rooster that comes in here with his lady,
Bubba.
Bubba. I've named him Bubba. When we first got here, he was so alone, and then he found this lady, and now I'm very happy for him. But he is so funny because he always tries to bring her on a date in here. And then when he sees
He's like,
me,
I know a quiet little out of the way.
yeah, exactly. The other day he did the same thing. They
Out
were
of the
over
way.
there,
Yeah.
and I said, Bubba, you know you're not supposed to be in here. And he started going bonk, 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 and banging his, like bouncing himself off the top. His woman is smart. She just runs out the door. But they are a cute couple.
They're a great
Yeah,
pair
they're
for each
sweet.
other.
We might have to put him down.
But we had a when we lived at Stellar Gardens. There was a Rhode Island Red
Oh yeah.
You know those?
who was kind of aggressive.
Yeah. they
Yeah.
can be a
And
little
his
aggressive.
name was Soup.
Soup.
Because he was going to be.
Because he was gonna be.
And-
Oh, because he was gonna be.
And he
Uh-huh.
eventually did.
Yeah, he chased after one of the toddlers, and so
Wow.
he became
He
sick.
became
Okay.
Soup.
Yeah. Appropriate naming.
Soup,
Yeah.
dinner.
And the kids were just terrified of him.
You
That's
stayed
awful.
over with Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were there for a year.
Yeah, and if you guys have any like food, like, what do the fish eat? Rice. Like
grass.
we're trying to like we
Yeah,
feed them
the grass.
we feed them grass, but we looked up like what do you feed tilapia
Oh, okay.
and
There's
flax,
in that- in there.
flax
rice.
seeds, rice. So
Yeah.
if you ever have
We got
stuff
plenty of
that's-
extra rice.
You know, we
going
should, I was
off.
thinking we should probably put some water hyacinths in there. It's fish eat them, and they do a lot of purification.
They also
You have to
are
watch
fairly
out that
prolific.
they just
Yeah.
choke the place out.
That's are they super invasive or?
They are pretty invasive,
Oh.
but it looks like a pretty controllable area.
Sure.
But that's what you use for like purifying water if you want to do like a.
The only problem with that is you might want to put up some kind of filter screen where the stream rolls down here, because all their seedlings will eventually spread down
Yeah,
this
definitely.
entire stream. Since it's
Oh,
not a
gotcha.
still pond,
Yeah,
it has
you
a
could put-
runoff.
Well, they
could put
need a
some
still
mesh.
pond to grow. They
Gotcha.
can't
Right.
grow in a running thing.
Right.
Anyway, maybe it might just be in a cage. It might
I
just,
love water hyacinth. I'm telling you, they're beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, I put some in our pond, just in our little. I had a little front yard pond
Nice.
because my mom broke her hip and she couldn't walk down to the backyard pond, and my brother put 3 hyacinths in there, and I was shipping them out every week. I'd take out 50 pounds of hyacinths. I'd stock the other. I actually
Yeah.
filled another tank up, and then I started just composting them.
Are they like water lilies?
They are gorgeous. They
You saw
water
them at
lilies that
Christina's.
just give you like a lot of flat things, and then a flower will come up.
Oh.
And
These ones have more of an upper bubble.
they
leaf
these
and-
float. These actually float. Water lilies sit on the bottom,
Oh. Okay.
and these float on top, and they have these kind of like styrofoam balls that have like a leaf on the end of them, and then they
that
have
sounds
really
beautiful.
beautiful purple flowers.
Christina had them in her backyard.
I think I know it. Yeah.
Do they smell
We
good?
had to clean those out.
You know, I lost my smell.
Not really.
In COVID.
They
so-
have an earthy smell. They're not really a floral
Isn't that
fragrance.
what was in the pond at Jackson's place in front of our place? That wasn't a pond. That little.
I think so.
She
Yes.
said purple, right? So I remember there being a lot of
Yep.
purple. Those are beautiful.
But that's just looks a little stinky,
Yeah.
just because we're in a drought type of situation.
The pond up there.
Yeah.
Still
not.
pond.
There's
It's not.
hundreds of fish in there.
And there's so many fish, and
No, that's a good. That's a good.
Yeah.
I
sign.
noticed there were golden tilapia in there too.
Is that
Wow.
a specialty?
They're like orange tilapia.
Oh, nice.
That's what we raised at Peter Notch's farm, and they're super good. They get really big,
Oh.
and they're really yummy.
Nice. Now, Skylar, who's the gentleman you may have met,
Yeah.
met last week, okay, or beginning of this week, he's going to be up there setting up an aquaponic station just on the edge of that pond there. I'm not sure what area he's supposed to use, but he's basically right outside your camp on the edge of that thing. He's supposed to be setting up tables for a nice aquaponics bedding system right there. We haven't seen any materials come in, and we haven't seen any of his other workers that's supposed to be with him, but he's trying to get that ready too and helping out here.
Okay.
So there's going to be an actual station sitting there in front of that.
Sound that's going to create.
See, I don't know.
I wonder if trout would work in there. I'm not.
Can't get trout on the islands. Rainbow trout. John Dobovan, who we're living with in Maui, he has the only license to raise trout on the islands, the entire state.
Well, they've stocked
And
them.
they're raising
They
them.
stocked them in Coquet.
Really?
Yeah, there's a little trout farm in Phuket.
That's awesome. So he's not the only one anymore.
No.
Because he had the only license for commercial
he's
trout
very
raising.
proud.
selling
And
to
if you could
restaurants.
just bring some down here, I mean,
The problem is they're super invasive, and if they get out, that's been the big issue.
Well, the thing is, they do stock them up at the top of Loop Road, and the thing is, they get fished out before they even make it down into the river.
Right, that has to be done.
Right.
So if it happened here and anything got down,
well, this goes down to that big lake, right? The
yeah,
stream.
so it doesn't go anywhere else. Awesome. So we just have trout down there.
Well, we should have trout down there.
There's already big fish in there.
There's already big fish.
Yeah, there's
in that,
already there's smallmouth bass. We saw somebody
Oh,
pull
really?
Yeah.
a smallmouth bass like that big out of the
Nice.
out of there the other
wow.
day.
So if you want to go fishing, take the left at the stop sign at the end of the road over there.
Yep.
You know, yeah. No, I just,
Sorry,
I'm
thanks.
more of the gatherer type. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I can find fruit in the jungle. That's my thing more than.
I usually try to just gather people together who are going to go shopping with me.
Right.
Yep. That works too.
No, I eventually would like to get a crossbow or a compound bow.
Yeah.
And get pigs and raise chickens and
We wanted to do chickens because
Yeah,
we
I
want
want
like a
to do
couple
chickens. I
goats and
like
chickens
chickens.
if we ever get a space to be.
Chickens
Right.
is easy protein.
So
Yeah.
easy.
I
But
mean,
the
that-
thing is, if we could catch some of these fucking hens and roosters here that are gonna lay, they just need a space to be designated.
You don't have to
Right.
catch them. You just have to have a little nook
little
for them
place.
a safe place for
They'll
them to
find it.
lay their eggs.
And they'll do it on their own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, so they won't. Well, actually, they never run off from here anyway. So what am I worried about, right? They don't have anywhere else to go. They're in the bottom of the
Yeah.
bowl
If
too.
you feed them,
Yeah.
Well, we have a connection to a couple of chicken guys. We're gonna get. I don't know. Do you guys know what Buff Orpingtons are?
Mm-mm.
They're these fat little
light
hens.
brownish ones.
They're
Yeah, they're kinda
light
blonde.
and they're super sweet, and they want you to pick them up.
Yeah.
But they have to be protected. That's the only thing because they
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
protect themselves.
Yeah.
But
So we
they
just want-
like-
Yeah, my old landlady
Safe one.
has those. She
Yeah.
brings them in at night in the coop.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
come in. It's like they're like pets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like pets. when we
I
do
agree
that.
with that.
And one of the first things that I want to do, as I was telling Brian yesterday, is that planter, that raised bed out
Yeah.
there, clear that stuff off, and I want to start planting herbs in there and have that be a big herb garden.
Nice. Now that stuff that's on there is recent. I had it cleared. All the pallets you see next to that junk pile over there, I tore out everything from there, and it was just the grass
Right.
and a few branches I hadn't cleared yet. And then stuff started getting laid there from up above and brought down. So it's covered again
Oh,
with
gotcha.
just bulk junk. It's not even garbage. It's bulk junk now.
Well, I figure some of those countertop
Mm-hmm.
stuff we could, we could put legs on or put them on cinder blocks
Mm-hmm.
and make little start tables.
Yeah, we
With them in
talked about
here.
that over here.
Yeah.
In between, like this line being a set of starter tables.
Yeah. That'd be great.
It's the perfect spot for it. They're
Yeah.
going to stay warm. They're not going to get pounded by rain.
No.
Right.
Instead of setting up an extra canopy, they're already in their canopy with the good light and heat.
Right.
Yeah. We just, it's so sad. And this is that camera moment where I get to say, I am so glad you're visualizing and actualizing these things, because we had the visualization when we got here. We had these template plans in our minds, and this is not what has happened yet. So now when you come in and you're evincing the same ideas we had, you're actually doing them, and we're actually going to see it done.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when Free gets
Big
here,
difference.
it's gonna probably get a little bit accelerated.
You can
even
call him
Yeah,
Daryl
sure,
if you
but-
want to, and I'm trying to, but for some reason I just never see him as Daryl because of the way he presented himself. I see him as free, and it's a
To me,
bit
he's
hippy
Daryl.
dippy, but I see him as that side of himself that's just waiting to float around here and fly out on his spaceship when it launches.